Hi there. One of your classmates asked me to make a help video. One of your classmates, or hopefully you, hopefully the person who asked for this is watching it, asked to make a help video about least common multiple, or sometimes it's called the least common denominator when it is used as a denominator of a fraction. And I thought it might explain this best if I looked at a numerical example with you before we looked at an algebra example. So a lot of the time now, you probably type in a question like the one I have here. Just type it on your calculator and make your calculator do it. But back in the day, you actually did learn to do this, like with arithmetic. So the reason that we talk about a least common multiple is we want the smallest number that is a multiple of both things. So smallest least thing that is a multiple, and it's in common, so it's for both of the things that you have. So if I look at this question, I have 12 and I have 18. If I count by 12, I have 12, 24, 36, 48, and that can go on forever. And if I count by 18, so I've got 18, and 18 plus 18 is 36. And at this point, I'm already very happy because look, here's a common multiple. If I kept going, I would find more multiples that they had in common, but that would not be the smallest one or the least one. This is the first one, which makes it the smallest. So if I were adding these by hand, I would say, well, both of these denominators need to become 36. Because when I add or subtract fractions, I need a common denominator. So what do I have to multiply the 12 by to get 36? I need to multiply by 3. 3 times 12 is 36. It was the third multiple of 12. And 18 needs to be multiplied by 2 to become 36. So notice on the first fraction, I'm multiplying by 3 over 3 because that's equal to 1. On the second fraction, I'm multiplying by 2 over 2 because that's equal to 1. So I'm not changing the value of this problem. I am just changing the way in which it's stated, like the units it's stated in, basically. Okay, and then you multiply before you add. So here we would have 15 over 36. And over here we'd have 14 over 36. And then I would just be able to add those together to get my answer. Now, the great thing is, if you understand how numbers work, algebra makes a lot more sense because it really is the same kind of thing in that you're going to be multiplying each fraction by something in order to make the bottoms match. So remember, not so much this part where you're counting by something because that doesn't quite work the same way with algebra, but remember how right here we were multiplying by something top and bottom so that these bottom things matched. That's going to be the same. Now with algebra, you can't really count by polynomials. Like that doesn't really make sense. Like we counted by 12 and we counted by 18. So what we do is to see what these are made of. And the way to see what the bottoms are made of is to look at their factors. So you can see here I have x squared plus 4x plus 3. I need an x and an x to get the x squared. I need a 3 and a 1 to get the 3, and both would be plus to make the 4x in the middle. Okay, I'm going fast through that because the point of the lesson is not factoring. We already covered that in this class. If you're weak on factoring, I talked in one of the videos recently about how easy it is to make yourself a factoring worksheet, right? You make yourself a bunch of problems that look like that. You multiply them out, you go make yourself a sandwich, take your dog for a walk and come back and then look at those answers and work backwards. That's what factoring is. It's working backwards from a multiplication problem. All right, and then over here, x squared would be x and x. 4 at the back is a 4 and a 1 because I need negative 3 in the middle. So this is negative and this is positive. When I multiply that out, I will get the thing that's here in blue. Okay, now you look at all of the components that are in the bottom. This matches. Okay, so that's great. They already have like a partial match, a partial common denominator. But this is only in the second fraction. So I need that to be in the first fraction. And this part is only in the first fraction. So I need it to be in the second fraction. So they have a common or same denominator. So this part is equal to 1, and this part is equal to 1. That's just like the parts that I highlighted yellow here. It's the same exact structure. It's just algebra instead of arithmetic. Okay, and now remember, we do order of operations. So we're going to multiply before we add all of this and all of this. So if I go straight across the top and then straight across the bottom, this is what I have. And then over here, straight across the top, multiply. Straight across the bottom, multiply. Now notice I'm not bothering to multiply these factors out. I think I will simplify the top a bit, but the bottom's fine, right? That bottom is the same. It has an x minus 4, it has an x plus 3, it has an x plus 1. Does it matter that this order is different than that order? It does not. These are three things multiplied together. You can multiply in any order you want. Here, I could distribute 3x squared minus 12x. Also here, distribute. Now, if this had been a minus sign, be careful that you put the minus sign with that number, okay? And then distribute the negative along with the number, okay? In this case, we have a positive, so we don't have to think about that so hard. That's good. That's fortunate. Okay, and then my last step would be just a tiny step of combining like terms. And then down here, all my factors. Okay, but I could add those together because I had a common factor, and I found the common factor by looking at what made up those expressions at the beginning, factoring them in the green, and then putting with each part the piece that I was missing. If I had been missing multiple pieces, then the part that's highlighted yellow would have included all of those pieces. I hope this was helpful to you. If you are confused, please do not hesitate. I am often sitting on Google Hangouts by myself, so come in and get some help if you're confused. Thanks.